try to take some deep breaths. Okay, folks. Welcome to this examination of a Canadian club. We're 2 minutes late. Internet. I do not run major servers like Microsoft, who send me updates at prime time. Updates where the whole system must shut down and restart. So and then everybody starts contacting me. What's going on? What's going on? And I'm saying I can't. It's not feasible at this time. I'm getting a year, you see, so it's tough. All right. Anyway, I was able to work through it. Anyway, this is a brand that's been around for a real long time, okay? Since 1858, but honestly, the original item. But they're honest. They're telling you up front, this is not the original item. This is, what do you call it? A close approximation of the original recipe. A lot of these companies, you start reading between the lines. There's some background noise from somebody, so you might want to mute yourself. But a lot of these companies, if you read between the lines, you can kind of pick up that they actually seem to have lost the original recipe. They don't want to say it publicly that we can't find it. It's in a shoebox somewhere, but we can't find the shoebox. The Schlitz website, that's pretty much what they're saying. And I mean, how does a company as big as Schlitz or use the recipe? But they're not saying that's what happened. They're just saying similar to the 1858 Canadian Club. All right, so tonight, let me try to go to the online comments area. And like I said, I'm sorry for the delay, but you're out of your hands, you know what I mean? We have from Canada, Canadian nation established 1867. Thank you, Michael, for joining. Komarov from New York, but he dropped off. He's only showing he was having trouble showing his pictures, so he was trying to figure out what was happening. I don't know. Also, I wasn't really having problems. I was having procedural issues. Okay, from the South and with typically Louisiana beer reviews, but we go off track sometimes with wine and beer, wine and whiskey, and brandy and gin. We have Florida Bill. And Bill, in a video, I said Bill McIntyre, and back, I was so embarrassed.
I got it fixed, Rod.
Yes, you did. You froze up. Is that, huh? Oh, McIntyre said, oh, hopefully he won't watch this video. He did. So embarrassed.
No problem.
We have Justin from Ohio, right?
I'm from Connecticut.
Connecticut, Urban Artifact.
Yes, or well, Beers and Barbells, whichever one you want to watch.
The river, though. Connecticut. What was the original name of that colony? Connecticut. And
we're the Constitution State. That's all I can tell you, and the Nutmeg State. But that's all I know.
All right. Now we have Michael from Brooklyn. From the Upper South, William Kepley from North Carolina.
Doing a craft whiskey, doing a Canadian whiskey on Craft Beer Week. Go figure.
There's a Kansas City Southern Railroad violating my personal space. Train of like 4 cars. We figured that since it was Craft Beer Week, it would be appropriate to review a mass-produced Canadian whiskey bottled in Illinois.
I think Sinatra said that was doing it my way.
The bottle, imported and bottled by Canadian Club Import Company of Deerfield, Illinois. It's interesting because at the library about, not an old book, it's fairly recent, and the guy was saying, yeah, this is a really iconic, being missed, 50 years old, but he was talking about Canadian Club, and he said iconic blended Canadian whiskeys, and he said it's distilled in Windsor, but they ship it down to Deerfield, Illinois, and bottle it, and then they ship it back to Canada and sell it because it's cheaper to do it that way. All right, maybe since NAFTA came into play in '94. I'm not joking about that. I'm entirely serious. Do you think that's could be the case?
Oh, it's quite possible. I didn't realize that until you mentioned it recently. I just assumed it was made and bottled here.
Let me shout this out. The Clueless Drinker, Peter, is reviewing tonight Hofbrau Maybach, in case y'all want to watch that. I like to watch Peter's videos, and not exactly a craft beer company, but it's a German. They do great work. I mean, I don't think the fact that they produce a lot of beer is indicative of producing bad beer, you know, or doesn't mean it's not going to be good. Water. Okay. Any opening thoughts? And like I said, sorry for the 2-minute delay, but it was a
Technical difficulties, right?
I mean, I'm excited to try it.
Canadian Club. Canadian Club.
Yeah, I've had it for years, Ron. It's probably something that I first tried, I don't know, 20 odd years ago. It's here in Canada, it's a pretty standard whiskey that you'll find around it, and Crown Royal being the other one, which is made and bottled in, I believe it's Gimli, Manitoba. But if you go into, I'm in the province of Ontario, and if you go into any of our provincial liquor stores, you know, you'll find shelves of this stuff, and right next to it you'll find Crown Royal. I enjoy both of them, but they're both pretty common standard Canadian whiskeys.
Yeah, and Crown Royal, that's interesting because that was a American company, Seagram's.
Yeah.
Started back in the 1850s, I believe, and then it got taken over by the Bronfen family, immigrants from Europe. But they were Canadian, you know. They company for years, you know, like decades until 2000. But they came up with this idea for when there was a 1939 visit, King George VI and Queen Elizabeth, his wife, to Canada on a tour, a special whiskey for their visit. So they came up with Crown Royal. They hit, and now here we are, to 80 years later, and that's one of the big whiskey brands around the world, the whole Crown Royal line. I think I'm right in what I'm saying there.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the last royal visit, a history note as well, until after the Second World War as well, that visit in 1939. Crown Royal, I don't know about in the United States or other parts of the country, but here in Canada, a very common whiskey. And years ago, it used to come in a purple velvet bag as well. And you'll talk to a lot of Canadians my age or older, and they have memories of that purple bag that it came with. And often kids would tuck their marbles in it or other special toys. It was a thing that you would see around the house.
I keep my Dungeons and Dragons dice in them.
You have a purple bag, do you? Crown Royal bag?
I have like 3 of them. I don't have any with me.
It's still sold in that royal purple bag here.
Is it? I haven't seen it in ages. When I go into the store, I just see the bottle on the shelf nowadays.
A big deal over here. I mean, it's like a big deal, okay? So, I mean, but anyway, that's another examination, right?
Yes. Different topic.
The Canadian Club, and good comments, by the way. He's real fast. Dylan Power said, Ronald, I love you, and William, his accent is awesome. I'm currently drinking Miller and Coors. Backwood Boondock Brew View says, Papa Top. Figured I'd stop by for a second. Yeah, go get some Power. So what are you drinking, Canadian Club? Bigfoot barley wine style ale. Uh-oh. That's about to get serious. But, you know, when this whiskey first came out, it was called Whisky, and not with an EY. You know, in Canada, it's KY, right?
I think in its early days too, it gained a lot of popularity as a bar mix. That's really where it earned its stripes. Like it was the whiskey that you would see in the bar.
It's still fairly common here. I mean, 750 milliliter glass bottles, and you get these big plastic jug bottles at all the big stores. I bought this convenient, 375 milliliter plastic bottle. Companies started complaining around the Club whiskey was taking their business from them, right? Appealed to the U.S. government to crack down. Did the company do? They said, okay, well, we'll change the name to Canadian Club. Originally, just simply Club Whiskey.
Club Whiskey, yeah. Mine's the bottle I have here. It's the 750 ml glass bottle. It was $27.45.
Oh my goodness! It's $11.99 here.
That's our tax.
No, I haven't.
You haven't had it.
I've been fixated on the whiskey, American bourbon whiskeys, and this is a new venture for me. I just read a little bit about it last night, and it has a colorful history. In the movie Dr. No, Ian Fleming's movie, this was James Bond's drink of choice in the '61 movie. And this whiskey has also been given a royal decree by Queen Victoria. And also by U.S. law, if it's sold here, it has to be, the origin of the country has to be on the label. So they had to add the Canadian to it. So that's the origin of that, why it's called Canadian Club in the United States. But it's
but technically, if they sold it in Canada,
it was one of the more popularly smuggled. And it mentioned about it was very popular during Prohibition to be smuggled into the United States. And they play off that fact on their website. It says some men had to break the law to drink it. All you have to do is break the seal. And it says, what do 7 generations of gangsters, smugglers, politicians, admin, and guys have in common? Canadian Club Premium Extra Age Blended Canadian Whiskey. So it's they're playing on the little bit, trying to be a little edgy with it, but it does have a colorful history.
And if they chose to, William, they could just call it club whiskey in Canada.
Absolutely.
And unlike a lot of these whiskeys, it's aged 6 years, whereas most of them are aged 4 years or less, right?
Yeah.
The website says 5.
Wait a minute. Now I'm looking right here. It says premium classic.
The product. Let's see. Nah, it doesn't say.
Okay, Justin, you've had it before?
Sort of. I mean, just a couple days ago, I took a little sip of it, but that's all. That was the first time I had it.
So you've had it. Michael?
I've had it before.
I mentioned that to him on the phone. He said, Canadian Club. Oh, yeah, CC and 7-Up. Everybody knows about CC and 7. So he knew about it. Bill?
I have, actually. The first time I had it was just a couple days ago when I sampled it after I bought the bottle. I will tell you this. My 375 milliliter bottle cost me $11 here. So it's clear that there's some regionalization of the pricing going on here.
Hold on a second. What size?
He's got the smaller bottle.
I got the smaller bottle, paid the same price as you did.
I saw the 375 bottle where I got mine. It was $4.95.
Woo!
I could probably get that.
9 cents.
Paid double that. So
I could probably get that small Mickey bottle that Bill just showed for probably $11 or $12. That would be the price for it.
I got the 200.
Here, I think I paid.
This one was $2.95.
Yeah, it was inexpensive for me. Exactly $6. It was $5.99. $5.99 bottle, twice the size. It would be $11.99. So it was
That's a
the
great
same
deal.
price per ounce.
And it does have a bottle date on it. The L is
Figure out
the L is for lot number. The first one of mine is 6089, which would be bottled in 2016, the 89th day on the Julian Code, which happened to be last year, would have been April the 7th. So, and the rest of the numbers, there's a tracking number of about 5 digits in case there were ever a recall. They would quickly be able to identify it and pull it off the shelves. And I think the last 4 numbers are the bottling, a military code, military time, excuse me.
Okay.
So, because I noticed this.
L3165F. What are we looking at there? L3165F.
Three would be 2013 and 165th day, and F would probably be the production line or the distillery.
Okay.
Numbers in the middle are like industry data. So this
I'm
one is
looking
pretty,
on yours is pretty fresh.
yeah, but mine looks just like the code sequence of Jim Beam. Coincidentally, it's the same thing.
Are you looking at the bottom, William? Is that where you're seeing the code?
Right above where the 200 milliliter is etched into the bottle. It's etched into the bottle. It's 16 digits plus an L in front of it. It should be.
I can just on mine very faintly across the bottom of the bottle here. It says L16342. Then there's a space AW1417.
But the most relevant are the numbers right after the L, which would be your bottling date. And everything after that is pretty much just, like I said, a tracking number and the military time for the bottling process.
Maybe the 34th week of 2016.
No, what is it again? What is it again? Michael, read that again.
The full code or after the L?
After the L.
16342.
That would probably be 2016, the 342nd day on that one.
Okay.
So
Now,
sometime
Mr.
in
Tank
December.
asking me if I checked out his Hopium review. Not because Hopium, and I don't watch reviews for beers I have not ever sampled because I cannot relate to them. When I try Hopium, I'll watch yours and everybody else's. But to watch a video review for a beer I've never had, I don't know what I'm looking at. I can't, there's no reference point for me. Okay, so I can't edit. I don't know what it's like I'm going in blind. I can't do that. All right, got to run. Good show. Thank you, Boondock. Might read some more comments later. I want to look real fast. It says at Canadian Club, meaning at Beam Suntory, right? And let me say this. I did a little experiment before we came on while my computer was updating, and I smelled each bottle of these Beam Suntory whiskeys I have. And then I smelled the 8-star. And then I smelled the Jim Beam Original. The Old Crow, a 40% alcohol. Smelled for all those 4 bottles. You want to take a guess what I noticed?
They all smell the same.
It smelled very similar, except that the 8-star was very muted. But I said, wow, I'm smelling the same whiskey 4 times. So their base on the website, their base, very similar. What they use to extrapolate the different expressions. It says, and I'm going to read this, and then we'll start tasting it. It says, at Canadian Club, Beam Suntory, we have stayed true to the unique recipe and process we created over 150 years ago. This is what has allowed us to continue to produce an exceptionally rich and smooth whiskey. With just a Y, no EY. In Canada, it's Y. Our process begins with the finest grains in the world. Our grain bill includes rye, barley malt, and corn. And then they emphasize this. Corn produces a distillate that is colorless, odorless, and tasteless. Reminds us of the brewer's syrup, does it not, when it comes to beer production, brewer's syrup? Refer to this as our base whiskey. Rye malt, and barley malt are the grains that give Canadian Club its unique flavor. Each Canadian Club variant has its own unique recipe, which highlights different grain and flavor profiles. This gives Canadian Club drinkers a full portfolio of flavors and expressions to choose from. Now, next, process. They create a blend according to our original recipe and puts it into a barrel so that it ages together. Now look, they're talking about soup. Like a great soup relies on the melding of individual flavors during cooking. This pre-barrel blending process allows the flavor of our distillates to marry during the aging process, ultimately creating a smoother, more refined taste profile. We use white oak American bourbon barrels to age Canadian Club. We favor used barrels. Now get this now. Favor used barrels because during the barrel's first use, the new barrel's pronounced oak flavor. That gives Canadian Club this distinctive rich oak flavor. Each of our variants have their own unique recipe. They are not, now listen, they emphasize this. They are not the same recipe aged longer. Any comments? Okay. All right. Y'all can hear me all right, huh?
Yep.
Gotcha.
I can't. No comment.
Nobody can hear me. Sometimes when you don't hear anybody, it's because you're breaking up and you don't realize you're breaking up. Okay. All right. So now William got me a little nervous because he talked about 5 years, and I say, what? Saying the age longer than the 3 years required by law.
It's aged for 6, isn't it?
It says 6 on the. It says 6 on the bottle, I think.
Yeah, well, they're saying 6 on the Beam Suntory website. I'm looking right here on Beam Suntory, and they're saying brand facts. They talk about how they changed the name, and the mafia was involved with the smuggling. Like William said, they're trying to play off of that. But it says the award-winning family includes a 6-year-old / premium classic, and that's what we're looking at tonight, the 6-year aged.
Yeah, you're looking at the Beam Suntory site?
Yeah.
Yeah. The award-winning family of Canadian whiskeys includes a 6-year-old premium, which is this stuff here.
They have a 12-year.
Yeah, there's the 12. Yeah. And a 20-year-old and a 30-year-old. And there's also one that offers 100% rye, which I've seen in the store, but I haven't purchased yet. It's kind of got like a green color across the bottom of the label.
I've seen that. They have aged in sherry casks. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Now what they're making a claim here. Now check this out. They're making a claim. Canadian whiskey that's pre-barrel blended before aging to allow the flavors to marry, resulting in an exceptionally smooth whiskey. Before they barrel age, before they say it's double distilled to remove fusel oils, creating a light tasting whiskey. I mean, this is something else, huh?
It's certainly a difference.
Yeah.
So does every whiskey get blended in the barrel, and this is the only one that gets blended before it?
According to their claim, now they would be opening themselves up to a lawsuit, which they could never win. We're stating an incorrect fact. Claiming right there online on their website that they're the only Canadian blended whiskey that's blended before it's put in the barrel. Now, I mean, that's very clear. The manager could take them to the regulatory agency is and bring a case against them for fraud. So I don't think they would to the company to commit a fraud. Do you?
Yeah, I can't imagine a statement like that if it's not true. Someone will for it.
Somebody tell me one time, oh no, that's not true. Schaefer lager is not the oldest lager. It's Yingling. I said, no. I said, no. It's the oldest. But Schaefer is the oldest lager brand. And if that was not true, Yingling could have very easily gone to court or to a regulatory agency and gotten that thrown out. No one has ever made a challenge to that statement, which is making me think it must obviously be true.
I just checked the website, and there's a graphic on there that says 5 years, the CanadianClub.com website. 5,
Okay,
9, and
where are you
12,
looking at?
3 versions.
William saying on CanadianClub.com, Jay.
.com. So where do you go, William? Where do you click?
Let's see. It's
Oh, and by the way, they've won some awards. The Ultimate Spirits 87, very good, strong recommendation. So a B. Institute gave it an 85, silver medal, highly recommended. So it's getting a B score. You know, good,
If you
not
go
great.
down to the-
And they're taking.
If you go down to the process and click on, I think it's the third step where the graphic is, I think.
Production process.
Process. And just keep.
Or as Michael would say, process. Okay. I'm only seeing 2 steps though.
If I could get a link to it, I'll see.
Regardless, and I'm not trying to blow you off, but regardless,
Oh,
5 years.
Interesting.
They say we use white oak American bourbon barrels to age Canadian club whiskey.
It's step 4. It's a picture.
I don't see it. One thing about it, these other whiskeys, they're not going to be aged even 5 years. They go, what, 4 years, 3 or 2, right?
They don't know. I can only go by
We're
what.
going to have to work. Okay, let's go with the taste profile. I'm going to have to look at that because I'm.
Yeah, because it's showing that the reserve is 9 years and that the classic something is 12 years. And the Canadian club is 5.
Where do you see that?
It's like under step 4 under the hour process.
I'm going to have to do some research because I don't see that. I'm only getting where it says production process. Spots, grain and aging. Let's see about aging.
It's our process, and it is step 4.
Under blending and bottling.
You're right, blending and bottling.
Gosh, I don't see that either.
Yeah, it's not showing up here for me either. We'll have to work on this later because I'm getting what Michael's getting. I'm only getting into the next step, which is showing
We can say it's age 5 to 6 years, and it's going to be somewhere in the middle until you find out differently.
right. And that's longer than typical.
Yeah, I think it's normally just has to be 3.
Bourbon,
I
it
see.
only has to be 2.
Or is it 2?
2.
I don't know if you guys can see that.
2. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's putting it up now.
Okay.
See that?
Say that again?
He just put the camera up. It showed and then it went off. He had the thing from the page up.
Yeah, I screen shared it.
I'd like to see that.
Can do it again
not
if you
this,
want.
man.
Just think how much better the sips are going to taste when we try it.
I know, right?
Let's taste it. I'm pouring mine now.
Okay.
Cheers.
Enjoy, everybody.
Cheers. Cheers, folks. Oh, well, that's too much. I have trouble saying S words.
You can finish it later.
Don't blame me. Blame Canadian Club. It's medium amber.
Yeah, I think that's a fair description for it. It has nice alcohol legs.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I find there's a faint graininess to it, to the smell. And there is a sweetness to the smell, but nothing like the Jim Beam that we did a couple of weeks ago.
Captain Bailey says, I used to get Evan Williams bourbon where the bottle said age 7 years. Now the bottles say nothing. 4 years, they are not required to disclose the age. If it's under 4, they must disclose it. That's in the United States. I can't speak for Canada.
You can smell the alcohol too, but I guess you could do that in any spirit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the alcohol.
It's pretty smooth tasting, though, I have to say.
There's
Well, before we start tasting, any other comments on the aroma?
Yeah, I'm with Canadian Michael. I pick up a sweetness in this. I almost want to say it's like I can pick up the oakiness of it, but I almost want to say that sweetness is almost like an apricot kind of smell.
I was gonna say there's like a hint of like vanilla or something to it, or almond or something like that.
So I go along with that.
The website references an almond nuttiness to it.
Oh, okay.
I think you're pretty much spot on with that description.
Yeah, it's saying fresh and soft with an almond nuttiness, a hint of peppery spice.
Yep, pick that up too.
They're saying the color's bright gold. I would say, yeah, like a burnish, maybe a burnished gold. But it's gold, amber, gold, amber. The taste.
The pepperiness must be the rye in it, I guess.
Yeah. Oh boy. Something else. This is something else. And I do not work for this company.
I'm not very well versed in the world of whiskey, so I don't know. I mean, the only other whiskey I've had is the Seagram's, and then
I need to get on to.
And
what else?
What's that? We were just talking about it. Why can't Crown Royal? My girlfriend drinks that like crazy, and I've had that too. I don't really. I'm not really good at pulling out what this tastes like to me. It tastes like, I know this sounds bad to say it, but it tastes like whiskey. But to me, that's good. Like it tastes good to me. I don't know how else to describe it. It kind of has like a rye flavor to it, but that's really all I can use to describe it.
Actually, William Kepley will tell you, if you look on the United States Tax and Trade Bureau, one of the requirements for whiskey is that it has to taste like whiskey.
Nailed it, Justin. Nailed
Awesome.
I mean, I'm serious. William knows. William has read that just like I have. It has to. What is the term, William? It has to taste like what is commonly.
That's pretty much something like that. What is commonly considered to be whiskey, and so that's quite vague. But it's.
But no, so don't feel bad, Justin, because you're actually describing the legal requirement for the product.
But on the nose of this one, I would never guess it was a 5 or 6 year aged product. To me, the sweetness is much more overbearing than any barrel influence. So that's the first thing that sort of popped out at me, was the lack of a, like a woody oakiness to it. The sweetness to me is much more prevalent.
Yeah. Oh, but that almond, it's very pronounced. What do you think, Michael Komarov in Brooklyn, New York?
I'm getting the almond also and the mild pepper, and like I said, I'm getting smoothness to it.
Yeah.
And this is 40 proof?
Yeah.
Proof.
Or sorry. Yeah. 40% alcohol by volume.
Which is 80 proof, right? It's 40% alcohol, which is 80 proof.
That's right. Something to play
Shit.
with.
My bottle notes that it won a gold medal at the 2013 International Spirits Challenge.
Ooh.
My bottle's plastic. Didn't win anything.
You know, when you start bringing up medals and awards, that really sets off a firestorm because people will get angry and say, "Oh, no, it's because against other products of its ilk." Well, you know, if you went to a dog show and your poodle won a gold medal in the poodle competition, you didn't put your poodle in competition against a Great Dane. Why would you expect that it would have been in competition against a Great Dane? I think that comment, that line of argument is illogical. Dodge 100 to be in competition against a Toyota Tacoma. There's some kind of disconnect with that line of argument. Okay, I'm not going to go on a rant, but I think y'all understand what I'm saying there.
Correct.
People will say, they'll say, "Oh well, it won a gold medal, but look what it was up against. It was in competition against a bunch of other Canadian blended whiskeys." Well, common sense, because that was the category.
Yeah. What else would it compete against?
Also, there's many times the allegation that they aren't even above board with these judging contests. That somehow, you know, they're getting a kickback, something slipped under the table, they're not even legitimate. My argument against that would be like, consider the Great American Beer Festival. Last year, Pabst Blue Ribbon won a gold medal for American Lager. Now, if it's who can pass the most money around, Budweiser would have won that hands down. Budweiser doesn't even win any of these awards. So if it's fixed and it goes to the one that pays the most money, I mean, that's totally off base there.
Yeah, I agree with what William's saying. I mean, that doesn't make any sense because I don't think people pay attention to whether this won a medal or not. I mean, it's nice bragging rights, but people buy this stuff because they like it or they don't like it or they want it to cause a certain effect. I don't think they buy it because of some medal it won 4 or 5 years ago.
That medals is that it does come into play because there are people out there with an axe to grind. Williams looking at.
Mm-hmm.
They'll make the allegation, but they can't back it up.
Sure, absolutely.
If it was all about the money, AB InBev's got more money than any of them. They would win every award. But they don't. They don't even win a proportionate award for how big the company is. So, you know, that's the reason I tend to give it some legitimacy. The fact that a PBR could win American Lager of the Year.
Maybe InBev is spending their money taking other breweries and don't care about medals.
That may be.
Seems to me the way they're going. But I mean, I don't know.
But you would think they would attack both fronts if they're the giant evil monster that many portray them to be. That they would try to take every advantage they could.
Right, that's right. And then on another though, is that many of the Anheuser-Busch InBev brands have won awards multiple times, just not. Never dream would win a gold medal like Natural Ice. You say not an ice beer. Gold medal. Well, it certainly did win a gold medal. 2014. I wasn't shocked because I always considered it a beer. But then people say, "Oh well, it was only in competition against other ice beers." Well, of course, because that was the competition. I mean, what do you think it was? It wasn't up against Russian Imperial Stouts. This blended Canadian whiskey is not going to win an award against a cognac, because guess what? It's not in the cognac competition.
Hello.
I mean, there's some things that you can't even entertain. They're so ridiculous. You know what I mean? Some allegations they make no sense. There's no point to it. How many NBA titles have the Carolina Panthers won? That's the logic. That's the type of logic into that. How many NBA titles have the Carolina Panthers won? You see what I mean? Like, so you just almost you entertain it.
What do you mean? You mean NFL Panthers, right?
What?
You said NBA, NFL, right?
Yeah, that was his point.
I'm using that logic point to that logic.
Let's see what it's.
Canadian Club only won against other Canadian blended whiskeys.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, because that's the competition. What about the taste, y'all? Bill, you're kind of frozen on your face, but I can hear you very clearly, and more clearly than I've ever heard you before. So there might be something that said frozen video.
Awesome. No, I don't think. Am I frozen?
No, we can see you.
You're moving.
Yes, but
This is a very interesting product.
go on.
As everybody has mentioned, you know, the initial aroma is very sweet, right? But yet when you take the first taste, it has kind of like that spice, kind of that alcohol heat and that spice to it, and then it sort of mellows out into a sweetness. I think it's a total fake out, and I think it's super cool. I like it a lot.
Okay. And I like it too. I want to say I like it too. Rebel Athlete says, "Hey Ron, have you heard of 99 proof liquor?" Yes, I saw it in the store yesterday. What do you assume off? I don't understand what you're saying. Also, why does Bud Light seem to be the top of the line as a result? I beg to differ. I don't understand what you're saying, Rebel Athlete.
Clarify.
The fact
please,
that Bud Light is the #1 beer in America, my role to explain that. Apparently people like it. I mean, you know, they buy it because they like it, you know. I don't think they buy it because they hate it. People buy Bud Light and say, "I'm going to take a case home, eat it." I really doubt that's the case. I swear that's not going on. People might say, "I only drink craft beer," and I would put a gun to my head before I drink Bud Light. Well, you know, that's certainly your option, and I would encourage you to not drink it. I drink it myself, but millions of people every day are buying it because they hate it. Because it's cheap, because it's actually uppriced. Okay, so Bill likes it. I think it is exactly the way they describe it. It's zesty. It has almond. It has sweetness. It says it has a clean, dry, and lingering finish. Sweet vanilla, rich oak.
Yep.
I 100% agree with what this. I'm buying into the. You're just buying their propaganda. I'm 100% buying their propaganda.
I think it's good. I mean, I like it. Like it more.
Justin, how do you think?
Feel free. Talk.
I was going to ask Justin how he thinks it compared to the other things he's had, the other rye whiskeys he's had.
I think, and I would never ever put down another whiskey or another drink. I think that I think the Seagram 7 I would probably drink straight, but I think I would like to blend this into like a whiskey sour or something like that, if that makes sense. Like, I like it enough to drink it straight, but I think I would rather put this into a mixer than the Seagram 7. But from what I understand, I'm starting to get the feeling that this is almost designed to be put into a mixer. From what I was listening to Jay say before, because it's a club whiskey or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm off base.
I think it is basically their introductory level mixer. Yes, I think you're right.
So this is like a well brand kind of situation here.
I don't know about it in the States, but in Canada, a lot of people will drink this with Coke. You know, they'll order a CC and Coke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that.
Others will, 7-Up and Coke or Sprite. I don't know if you get Sprite in the United States, but they'll order Sprite and CC. And so it's certainly, I'm not big on mixing pop in my drinks. I almost never do it, but it's got a history of being used for that purpose. Others will drink it neat or throw a few cubes in it. I find if you put some ice in it, that it dulls down the peppery notes and sort of smooths it out a bit. So
I would actually not want to dull it down because I think the peppery notes really add a lot of character to it. So
I agree. I think that's what kind of makes it. I think you're right on, Jay.
Well, we're going to wrap it up, but I think the question we always ask at the end is, would you buy it again? There's no doubt I would buy this again. If I could get a whole big bottle, a bottle the size of this for $11.99, to me, there's no mystery to me that it's won a B, a B, good, silver at these awards. Is it the greatest thing in the world? I don't know. I've never had the greatest thing in the world. But for $12 minus a penny, these are not people that are throwing something together with no care. These are master distillers. These guys know what they're doing. Yeah.
I've had it for years, and they're consistent. I mean, I've never bought a bottle and thought, something's off with this. It's a very consistent product. It's well made. I wish it was cheaper to buy up here, but it's not. It's a good product. It's something you can keep in your liquor cabinet for when someone comes over, and you can serve it neat. You can serve it with mix, add ice to it. It's got some multi-purposeness to it as well.
Yeah, I think that this one would be one. This one's a good one to keep in the cabinet in case you want to make a drink. Or I think it's got its versatility to it. I think you're absolutely right. You could drink it straight, or you can mix it, and I think it would mix better than some others that I've had. Just because it almost tastes to me, once again, it could be off base, but it tastes to me like it's almost designed to be put in with something sweet. So it's a mixed drink. I don't know.
No. You got to call them like you see them. Don't ever come on here and date or feel like you need to. We allow people to come on here and say,
I think that this tastes better with something sweet in it.
You have to call it. You have to call it like you see it. Another examination if people start to feel like they have to, so to speak. You have to say what you want to say. Anybody's welcome to come on here and express their opinions. If it's a legitimate opinion. I think, and this could be. You think that I would prefer Canadian Club over Jim Beam and Jack Daniels. So I'll probably be dragged into the streets and shot through the head. But I'm sorry, I just feel that way. Now, what do you think? What do you say? What do you say, William, Kepley, and Michael?
I would buy this again. I like it.
To some-
I think it's good. I think it's very good.
B plus, very good.
I think the sweetness is a good thing.
Right, right. Yeah, it works. It works, doesn't it?
Bill, what do you think?
Sometimes sweetness does not work.
I like it. I like it a lot. It's a distinctive product, in my opinion. In a sea of sameness, this is kind of different in that whole sweet, spicy, flip around taste profile deal. So I like it a lot. I would definitely buy it again, no doubt.
He said he would not buy Old Crow again. Weeks ago, last week, I can't remember. So you're being honest. You know, he's not out things and hoping that it gets some favorable. What do you say, William Kepley?
I like it. It's pleasant. It's very drinkable. It's I think for the intended drinker, it's a good choice. I mean, I'm not a whiskey aficionado. I like it. You know, for the price point and everything, you know, it's not going to appeal to someone who's looking for the, you know, a more of a barrel influence, who wants a layered whiskey, you know, that just like blossoms when you taste it, you know, all these, you know, multiple of flavors coming out. But that's not what this is intended for. I think for what it is, it's quite good. And I enjoyed it. And I would buy it again. It fits within the price point. I think it's, you know, every time we drink something or buy something, you know, we're voting with our pocketbook. Is it worth it? I would buy this again, I think.
Yeah.
It's enough of a side road from the bourbons I've been drinking, you know, regularly. And so I probably would get it again.
And it's one of those, like we've talked about, legacy brands.
It's well done. I mean, you know, the fact that, you know, these people care about these products, you know, and to hear some of the statements, you know, about them, you think it was like, you know, some kind of mom and pop shop were putting these products out. I mean, it's good. And, you know, you can read on the website about the process and everything like that. It's not just thrown together. I think it's pretty good.
Jay just used the term legacy brands, and I really think that's a good term for it. I mean, at one point there was a certain cachet about having this product around, and you know, I don't know if that's the case today, but certainly back in the 1950s and 60s, I think in urban Canada and in urban parts of the United States, you know, there was a cachet of having this on your bar or in your liquor cabinet at home. In fact, I was a big fan of the Mad Men television series, and they were always drinking this in the ad agency, and it was set in New York City in the 1960s. And, you know, this was always the liquor they were pouring at 10 in the morning at the office. But anyways, I'll say that I think there's a cachet, or there was, with it.
And even the label here looks Spartan. That's making a statement itself. It's not shouting at you. You know, it's not trying to be edgy or hip or anything. I mean, look at that. I mean, it just, it's like a man in a well-dressed man in a black suit.
That's it.
That's true, William. And that label has essentially been the label they've been using for years.
Right. And it goes back to the legacy aspect of it.
Yeah.
That sometimes less is more, and people will pick this up, and, you know, you're sort of impressed by it. Well, that's a nice looking label there.
No doubt, man. Understated, distinguished. Yep.
It is.
It has got to be one of the best whiskey. I mean, it's so impressive in its, like William said, its simplicity. No naked ladies on it. There's no drug references, politics, but it's fabulous, you know.
The White Album equivalent.
Again,
The White Album.
The Beatles.
Right.
Beatles. Hey, now I talked about legacy brands. Now another legacy brand would sort of be like this company owns. It's called Windsor Canadian. One day I'd like to dip into Windsor Canadian because it has its own history. I started reading about Windsor Canadian. I said, oh, let me get off of that because I'll start getting caught up in it, you know.
I don't know if I've ever had that.
Don't even look at it. Don't even look at it, Michael. All right. Don't do it. Hey. I made those mistakes too many times by clicking on a website and then I get caught up in it.
It's like going down a rabbit hole.
Resist. I cannot resist. Now next week it's going to be another topic. Think about this sometimes, and I get a lot of, generally, not always, you know, I get some negative, positive feedback on these videos I make. And the question is this. Next. And you can join or not join, it's up to you, no pressure. Wine. Fine to drink cheap wine. Now.
That's a great topic.
I think it's an awesome topic. Drink cheap wine. Some people would rather be run over by a car, terrorists, and tortured to death. But on the other hand, there's a lot of people that would say, I drink cheap wine all the time. So people were asking me on other social media, what wine can I bring? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend bringing a $250 bottle of wine, but you know,
get Blue Nun in the States.
Nun. Oh, that's a real legacy brand. Oh my goodness. Yeah, of course. Who doesn't?
Has that got a picture? Has that got a picture of Sally Field on the label? Just checking. I just checking.
Hey, I gotta
bring
go
it next week, Bill.
She was hot back in the day. She was hot back in the day. Anyway.
Yeah, just watch Smoking the Bandit. You'll get when she climbs over the seat, she climbs over the tops. Yeah. Anyway, let's get off of that topic.
You can see, what did you say? When she climbs over the seat, you can see her what?
No, wait a minute now. Highbrow said when she climbs over the door to get into the T-top Trans Am, it's accurate. That's all I said. Her heyday, Sally Fields was, okay, I'll use that term.
I'm glad I mentioned Blue Nun.
Yeah, Blue Nun. Now, if people want to check me on that, go watch reruns of Smoking the Bandit and tell me I'm wrong. Can't do that. All right.
Jay, let me ask you something.
Okay, uh-oh.
Next month, you have on your schedule this cheap whiskey thing on the 14th of June. How cheap are we going to get?
Oh,
it obviously has to be real whiskey and nothing we're distilling ourselves, I guess.
Okay, here's what's, I've opened myself up to, June 7th, we've got pouring beer. One of the most common questions I get on social media is, literally, they have people that would knife because you pour beer a certain way.
I got
With
a
a dagger.
tag the other day for that.
Yeah, this is like, to me, it's not a big deal. You pour it, you drink it, you enjoy it. But to some people, pouring beer is almost a religion. An interesting topic on June 7th. June 14th, whiskey blend, a blend, cheap whiskey. You can go as cheap as you want, as long as it's an actual product that is sold in a store.
Okay.
Sold on the subway. People.
Well, Jay, whiskey is not the kind of stuff that people are distilling at home, so I don't think you have to worry much. Although I guess people could be making their own moonshine.
Oh yeah, they do. They do anything. But price is no. There's no go lower than acceptable. Something that is not available in a store. As long as it's available in a store, and you saw the photo I put on Google Plus. I've
Yes.
never seen that stuff. What is
No,
it
I haven't
called?
seen some of that
Military. What is it called? Military. Good grief. It starts stuff, and you really got to question if a person needs to go to a treatment center. But they probably just cheap. All right. That'll be a fascinating exploration. So I thought Canadian Club was really interesting. I mean, this was really one of the most interesting videos we've ever done. Up on the 5 versus 6 years. Took up 40% of the video.
Here's a nice combination. Drink a country club and chase it with a Canadian club. Then you got a Canadian country club.
William, I'll pay you big money. I'll pay you big money for that country club, man.
Really?
Yes.
You may not go to prison. Or you could do country club, Canadian club, and
This will be my personal examination later tonight.
There
I'm
you go.
Visit the Canadian Country Club.
or you can drink Canadian Club and Clubhouse gin. But I would
That sounds
strongly
like a recipe for a headache.
I would strongly advise people not to mix Clubhouse gin with Canadian Club whiskey. I mean, I cannot emphasize any stronger not to do that.
Sounds like a recipe for trouble.
All right. Well, thanks, folks, for watching video production. A really interesting whiskey. And there's a lot more whiskey, wine to look at. Thank you.